Hello, and welcome to season 3 of For the Love of Tinsel, your safe and cozy place to lean into your love of romantic holiday movies. Hi,
Yes.
everyone. I'm Angela,
And I'm Aisha. Welcome.
and today we're recording this the day after Christmas. Woo!
Yes. And the
Oh,
first day of Hanukkah.
first day of Hanukkah. Um,
Actually,
so
second day of Hanukkah.
second day of Hanukkah. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
first day was yesterday.
Oh yeah. I'm very proud of us for pulling this off, Aisha. Go, 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 go. We did
Knock wood.
it. Knock wood so far. I'm gonna ask you how your Christmas was when we were together. So it's always like how was your Christmas, Aisha? But how was your Christmas?
I think my Christmas was great. It's a little bit of a blur. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think now at this point in my life that Christmas isn't about me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As long for me it's about creating an experience for the kids and for everybody else in my family. Like
Mm-hmm.
that for me is the experience. It's also a lot of work. But
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know, but I have my times when I can like be quiet and reflect and think. This year has really reminded me about making sure that I take time to stop and reflect and think, and but also that my family remembers
Yeah.
to, because I feel like sometimes you need an outside source to get you to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so I kind of have taken that on for my family to just take the moments while you have them.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I was able to do that. We were able to do that yesterday, and we eat a lot, so much food.
We
So
ate so much food. Yeah.
um, like I am like I've already mentally prepared for January to be a bit of a, let's just heal what we did to our stomach kind of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that, meaning I'm not going to stop what I'm doing now necessarily, but I am preparing for the healing of the eating that I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so there's that. Although you guys are going right into Mardi Gras season, in which case,
Yeah, we
how
are.
does that work?
Well, I mean, yeah, you do kind of go right into, but you don't do it for like, you're not like drinking and eating every day for the whole time, but it is kind of gluttony for a while. You have to
Got it.
kind of in January, I want to kind of be more physically active and stuff and just kind of get myself on a good path. And really, I don't go crazy anymore on Mardi Gras because like there just comes a point when you're just like I still have to go to work the next day. I still have to do stuff. But yeah, we are going into Mardi Gras season and it'll
It's
be
going to
fun.
be on. I'm
Yeah.
going to, yeah, no, January is just definitely going to be my time to, um, you know, try to start off with some aspirations of
Hmm.
health, body, mind, soul, all of that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going
But
to be cool.
Christmas it was really nice being with you guys every year. Dwayne and I come to, stay with hang out with the Charis on Christmas and
New York.
New
And it
York, New
was
York.
kind of a white Christmas.
It was kind of a white
I
Christmas.
mean, with, climate change and whatever, it's a
Yeah.
dusting, but it's, at this point, at least we had
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I mean, and it was cold the days before
Yes,
Christmas,
ma'am.
so we did get the cold.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
always nice to be with kids on Christmas too, because they're just like so excited. Ishan is just like so excited.
Yeah, it's my 11-year-old.
Yeah, and I remember being that excited. I mean, and I do actually, I like getting gifts. I can't lie, so it is always exciting.
Gifts are fun. But
And I
one of
like
the
giving gifts and
you
making
do.
sure, that
You do.
I try to be as thoughtful as I can with gifts. So that's become more fun, like trying to
Right.
find just the right thing.
Right. Right. That you thought that the person knows that you thought
Hmm.
specifically of them when you gave them that gift.
Exactly, exactly. So
And I have to say that, especially, and again, we had other friends come over. So it was probably maybe what, 9, 10 of us in the house.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it was 10 of us.
Hmm.
But I think that even for Sean, I think his highlight was having all those people around. Like even gifts
Mm.
aside, honestly,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
was really about having so much
Yeah.
energy in the house was like the bigger present, which I loved.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why it's so great to have kids around because it reminds you that you these kind of traditions matter and
Yeah,
doing these things really matter. Because it's like when you're an adult, you're kinda like, "I don't know, I could just sit around and, I don't know, like, not really do anything and it would be fine," but
right.
actually, it's so much nicer when you get people together and play games and
Right. Oh
things
my
like
goodness,
that,
we played Jenga.
we played which I have not played in a long time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was new for me.
Mhm.
One that these
Mhm.
nails actually helped, which was for the first. It was a first for me.
Exactly. Mhm.
But there's that. So back to why we're here,
Mhm.
everyone. Um, let's talk about the season,
Yes.
Angela.
Mhm. Mhm.
What do you think? What were your
Um,
thoughts?
yeah, I mean, we thought we would talk a little bit about the season and trends we notice and,
Yeah.
all the good stuff. This season, I feel like I saw a good amount of movies, kind of in the middle for me. I haven't, there's some seasons where I watch a lot, and I was super busy finishing a film. So when you're working on a film, you have to just like watch multiple cuts of the film. So your time is limited because multiple cuts of films are hours and hours of time. So I didn't watch as many holiday movies as I would have liked to this year. But in terms of trends too, I would say something that I'll say one thing I liked and then one thing that disappointed me. One thing that I liked was the holiday movie is really exploding and it's allowing for people to take some risks in terms of
Mhm.
incorporating more comedy, in terms of, sort of more higher and not even like higher profile, but really better, interesting actors wanting to be in these movies. All of that just makes the movies better. So I like kind of the incorporation of comedy and I like, that element of it. Um, but why don't we start with the good things? You tell me a good thing, and then I'll tell you something that I'm
What?
okay, all right, fine. So, but the thing for me is that
I was
I f
invested in what you were gonna say.
I
I was so
know.
ready.
Okay, all right. Well, I do feel like the diversity was not great this year, and
Mhm.
I will explain what I mean when I say diversity. Like, you know, it and maybe this is just kind of a larger cultural thing I'm gonna say, but as we're in this moment where diversity and inclusion are shifting in terms of what people's priorities are, et cetera, et cetera. I just feel like it was really old school in terms of, there were some movies that had black families, maybe like, one or two queer families. Then there are some movies that focus on Hanukkah, but there have been years where they've been so diverse. It's been so many different races. It's been so many different cultures. And I really loved when we were moving in that direction. And
Right.
this season,
Same.
I just really didn't see it. And it just disappoints me because also it just makes the movies better, watching movies that are about like Puerto Rican culture and what Puerto Rican culture does during Christmas. It also just takes away from sort of the sameness of it. Like,
Yep.
people are eating different things. They have different conflicts with one another. People are from different places. It just so, I'm going to beat that drum forever, but that was something I really noticed this year, especially cuz as the seasons go on, we've had like 3 solid seasons to really look at the films and I think we can both agree that it's been, this season is one of the least diverse. So curious, Aisha, what were you noticing with trends?
Actually, I really agree with you. That's actually some of the things that I probably, would bring up as well. It
Yeah.
felt safe,
Yeah.
but safe can be just a lot less interesting. And
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
is that for me to say that about, holiday movies actually says something. I
I
know.
know. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. When you're saying a holiday movie
I
is too
mean,
safe, I mean, like what? Yeah. Yeah.
seriously.
I know. I know.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean, and I also think that one of the things that I noticed because I like to watch a lot of the older ones because they're
Mhm, mhm.
really sometimes you can forget what they used to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And there were some things that what was not great about the old ones were the
Mhm.
diversity part.
Yeah, mhm.
They didn't even try.
Yeah.
There was
I
just
mean, it's better than it
absolutely
used to be,
there
yeah.
was
Mhm.
absolutely no
Mhm.
effort whatsoever.
Mhm.
And that they were totally comfortable with every as, cisgender, white, small
Yeah.
town was supposed to
Mhm.
be all of was the definition of America.
Mhm.
Um, but and those are the older ones. But what I did like about those is number 1, and I'm not even a religious person,
Mhm.
but they went so far away from what Christmas
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I
is
know.
to the point where
Mhm.
you were like, I don't know. Like once you're doing the Santa camp thing and whatever,
Mhm.
which is totally fine. I'm not even
Yeah,
poo-pooing
yeah.
that. But
Mhm.
when all of them are like that,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it kind of changed what Christmas magic like literally they redefined what Christmas magic is.
Yes.
Um
Mhm. Mhm.
and which actually made me a little sad. Like I kind
Yeah.
of wish that there was a little bit there's a lot less kids. I don't know if you noticed that. There's a
I was
lot
noticing that too.
less
I was noticing
kids
there were fewer
in
kids,
it.
and I wonder
And
why that is. Like,
and
I don't know if
it's
it's like an economic thing or what, but
who
there
wants
were
to deal
fewer
with
kids.
these little brats?
Mhm.
I don't know. And
Yeah.
the thing is, like, again, I'm someone like
Mhm.
we focus on romantic comedies.
Mhm.
Clearly, that's important, but it was
Yeah.
possible to
Mhm.
have something of that, those elements in all of them,
Yeah, yeah.
and it could be okay. Like right now, I was rewatching. It was like the nanny, the Christmas nanny, and
Mhm.
she worked for like MI5 and she had to watch
Oh.
the royal family and pretend to be a nanny because they thought there was like espionage and someone was going to, and you're like, guys, I'm
I know. You're just like, "This is a lot."
no one needed that much of a twist
I
on the
know.
princess prince thing.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
nobody needed that twist. I just felt like I believe in expansion of
Mhm.
ideas,
Mhm.
but the
Mhm.
expansion of the ideas went in a very conservative way
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not in so much of I've talked in other episodes about like there was Christmas in San Francisco, there was Christmas
yeah.
in so many different locations and
Mhm.
with like Asian families. And it wasn't
Yeah,
about them necessarily being an Asian family. It was like they were the leads and that this just was. It was, the cities were part of the were characters in their own right.
mhm,
It wasn't just
mhm.
this small town that had an odd Christmas name and just that went with it. That's what I meant by this kind of contraction of difference.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that I was disappointed. I
Mhm.
love the fact that you have Hallmark Plus and you have all these different
Yeah.
ways that you could
Mhm,
see Christmas movies now. I think that's going in a great direction because not
mhm.
everyone can DVR it and
Right.
it doesn't
Mhm,
show up everywhere. So just how many people have access to these holiday movies
mhm.
is awesome.
But I will say, they gotta figure out, like,
Yes.
how you find them. I mean, this season was the
Yes.
hardest for me in
It really
terms of,
was. Mhm.
if you don't have cable, like Aisha would see a movie and she'd say, "Oh, what about this movie?" And I don't have cable. I have it through the apps and whatever. Trying to even paying for Hallmark Plus, the movie wouldn't come right away to Hallmark Plus. It was very confusing. Like it's like they're still figuring that out, you
Right.
know?
It just made it harder for to just sit and kind of fall into a movie
Right.
the
Yeah.
way that you
Mhm.
wanted to
Yeah.
and yeah, that was that was disappointing for me. Like, "Hey, you guys have us. We'll narrow
Mhm.
that jammy down for you so that you can
Mhm.
but you still have to find it." We
Right.
try to tell you
Exactly.
where it originated, but that is not where it stays. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, it may have originated on Hallmark, but maybe you can't watch it because it's on Netflix or it's on Hulu or it's on, that
Exactly.
sort of thing. Um, so that's another thing that we're like, "Okay, this needs to be streamlined a little bit."
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Yeah. 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 So we thought we'd talk about our favorite movie for this season.
Yeah.
So Aisha, I want you to go first.
Okay, I will do that. My question to you is that was there one obvious one for you,
Yeah,
or did
there
you
was
have a
one for
hard
me.
time narrow it down?
There was one for me. I mean, There were so for me, it was like I enjoyed a lot of movies. And there were things I was like, "Oh, that was great." Or even there were even some movies that, like, I enjoyed pieces of them, and then the other pieces I was like, "Whatever," but I enjoy them in general. But I for me, there was really one we've talked about it, but there was one that I just felt like, hit on a lot of different levels, and just kind of worked with kind of the elements that matter to me, like, Christmas magic
Yeah, I
and
think I know what movie she's talking about, but just so
Mhm.
anyone is listening, we don't share. I
No,
literally she's
no,
not told me any. I'm
no,
guessing
no.
just like you
No, no, no.
about what
Yeah.
she's gonna say. And
Mhm,
then she
mhm,
all then she just threw it back at me. So I'm gonna have to
mhm.
say mine
Yeah.
first.
Yes, you're gonna have to say
But then she's
Mhm,
gonna be annoyed if I say
mhm.
hers. And then
I
she's
won't
gonna be
be, I
like,
won't be. You might say mine, and it's okay because, then that means it was a great movie, but I don't know if you will, but we'll see.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you may say mine. Who knows? Edge of my seat, edge of my
Okay,
seat.
so here's the thing. Upside, downside. Upside is that I actually had 3 movies.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
Downside, it was because none of them were like 9 and a half. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm,
not one was
mhm.
so great. They were all
Right. Yeah, yeah.
good,
Mhm, mhm,
but didn't scream at me like, "Goodness gracious, I'm gonna be thinking about that. I
mhm,
hope they try to match this next year." That was my
mhm,
problem,
mhm.
is, figuring that out. So I kind of wanna say I'm gonna leave out the one that I think you're gonna say,
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, cool.
because but it's
Mhm.
on my list. I'm saying it right
Uh-huh.
now. It's on my list.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
but not including the one I think she's gonna say.
Mhm.
The one is for me was Three Wise Men and a Boy. And a
Oh
boy. Three
god,
Wise
I
Men
didn't
and a
see
boy.
that this season. I need to watch that because I
You
love that chain.
do. I know
Mhm.
you do. I really think
I love it.
you're gonna like
Yeah.
it. But don't wait
Mhm.
too long because trying to watch it in February, it doesn't hit the same because it's no longer the season, and
Oh,
all of a
no, no,
sudden you're
no.
like,
No, no, no.
so
This is that time of year where between now to the end of the year, I catch up. So, like,
right.
Aisha will say the movies and I have some time and I'll catch up. So this is my catch up time. Yes.
Right. So
Mhm.
anyone who doesn't know, it's on Hallmark. It's a continuation of Three Wise Men and a Baby.
Mhm.
And they did a continuation with Three Wiser Men and a Boy.
Mhm.
And normally these continuations are awful,
Mhm.
or just don't stack up. But I actually think that it did. I mean, there are things that they could have done better, of course. This is my whole point of nothing was like a 10.
Mhm.
But it's the Brenner brothers again trying to figure out their lives, trying to figure out where they're going. Um, and it has just everyone is strong.
Mhm.
Simple as
Mhm.
that. And it's got shenanigans in it, and it's cute, and it's funny, and it balanced the romantic part with um the comedy part in it, which I just appreciate. These are actors
Mhm.
who have worked together a lot. They
Yeah.
have their
Yeah.
own little thing. I love the fact that the mother of these 3 boys is such a strong figure and has been a strong figure in both of the movies because they don't always do that. And
Mhm.
just spoiler alert, I have 3 sons. Okay? This
Right. Yeah.
movie is about 3 brothers and this mother of these 3 sons. So, I'm
Mhm.
a little biased.
Yeah, it's gonna hit different.
It hits differently
Yeah. Yeah.
for me. So, but that was one of them. And the
Mhm.
second one, which may surprise you that I'm gonna say, is
Mhm.
going to be Meet Me Next Christmas on Netflix.
I Aisha, it's very funny you say that almost hit my first. Yeah. Mhm.
And
It almost
and
did. Mhm.
and the surprise is because it was not a 9 for me.
No,
Um,
no.
it was not a 9.
Mhm.
Um, but there's so much in that movie that was
Mhm.
fun, and
It
then
was so
after
fun. It was so
it's
fun.
just so fun,
Mhm.
and then after watching all the other movies, you can
Mhm.
kind of go back and be like, "Okay, you were
Yeah,
better
yeah.
than
Mhm.
most
Yeah,
of them."
yeah. Mhm.
So again, it's like Christina Milian and Zavale Ellis,
Mhm.
and she's a hopeless romantic, and oh, and I like the fact that the Pentatonics were in it. I actually it had
Yeah,
music, it had
yeah.
My
Mhm.
City in it, it
Mhm.
had,
I
it's
mean, it
just
kinda had your city in it.
as long as you don't know too much about Canada,
Okay,
it
okay.
was
I
My
was like,
City,
I mean,
and
okay.
it was implied. My City
Mhm.
was
Yes.
implied.
It was implied, yes. Mhm.
But it was just fun. It
Mhm.
had so many fun elements that I don't think any of the other movies
Yeah.
that I saw, and I saw a
Mhm.
lot,
Yeah.
had.
And it was
Um,
very well made. Like, I
yes,
really just have to, like, shout out
yes,
to the director. I felt like it was probably the most cinematic of the
agreed,
Christmas movies that I saw this season, for sure. Yeah,
agreed,
definitely,
agreed. And
definitely. Mm,
so, so that's why I was just pure entertainment,
mhm,
just pure entertainment. I appreciated it, and so, you know, there. So those were mine.
mhm.
Now, what's yours?
Okay, so I'm gonna do my top one, and then I'm
What?
gonna do a follow-up. Well, because
That's fair.
you did it. It's
That's
okay. So
fair. That's
fair.
fair.
So I think Aisha knows my okay, my follow-up is this is one that I saw that I enjoyed that isn't my favorite, but just as a shout out to I think it's Our Little Secret, which is the Lindsay Lohan Netflix film.
Huh. Okay. Okay.
Okay, that movie is it's doing too much. That movie is doing too much. They're
Okay.
trying to cover too much time.
Look, this
Lindsay
is
Lo
one of your favorites, girl. What are you doing?
No,
What are
no,
you
I'm beginning with that. I'm beginning with that.
doing?
But, there's so many fun people in it. It's like Lindsay Lohan, Kristen Chenoweth,
So true.
just like a lot of great people in it. Um, and I liked that she had like a past with him. I mean, I don't know if their chemistry was like spiking hot or anything,
You don't
but
know?
I
Because I feel
did.
like you
Yeah.
do. I feel
Okay.
like you
They did
do
not have
know.
like hot chemistry, but there were a lot of shenanigans that I enjoyed, and,
Sure.
I think I just liked the actors who were in it, and I like, I enjoyed watching it. It was actually one of those, like, romantic ones that it was really not as much about the romance, it was really kind of about all of the different elements and things that happen.
Mhm.
Also, the thing about Netflix movies too is they can do things like people can take gummies, and you know what I mean? Like, they kinda just, like there can be cursing. Although cursing in Christmas movies always feels really awkward when it happens. Like, I'm
Agreed.
like, okay, Netflix, that person cursed, but to what end? It's awkward. You know what I mean? It's weird. And I'm fine with cursing in life, but for some reason in a Christmas movie when it happens, it feels a little bit like, okay, so that's a shout out. But my movie for this year was definitely, and we talked about it before, a 90s Christmas. Did you know it was that one, Aisha?
Look at my page right there. And I deliberately
Mhm,
didn't say it because I knew
mhm.
that that's what you were going to say. So I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I'm not going to say it because I know her.
Yeah, it just is like I don't even know where it was. Was it on Hallmark? Because now it's on like Fubo. I mean, it's hard to know where these movies
It's
end
on
up now.
Hallmark.
It's on Hallmark, yeah. Okay, it's on Hallmark, and it stars Ava Bourne and Chandler Massey. A workaholic lawyer kind of goes back in time, and like with her family to reconnect. It's kind of like we talked about it in our Christmas Carol episode. What I loved about the movie was I really loved I thought the family was very well developed, and I felt like the dynamics with the family were very well developed.
Agreed.
And I love that the sister was queer too, and there's like a coming out element of it.
And it's so sweet. It's so
Mhm,
sweet.
It just got at different things like, the one that got away, and grief, and how grief. I mean, I know, like, I really when I see movies that handle grief well, I always kind of bump them up in the list because I think that grief is always sort of handled really weirdly in movies in general. Um,
Right.
but just kind of how grief sometimes can put you on a path in your life that you didn't even know that you were on. And I definitely personally resonate with that. I've done a lot of thinking and exploring around that and have
Yeah.
seen that in my own life, right? Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed that film. It's like, I would watch it again. That's like one of those like I would
Yeah.
watch it again. And that's unusual, because this whole kind of thing is it's very transactional in a way. It's like, okay, I go through this year's movies and now on to the next.
Right.
But
You put
that's a
your money on
movie.
the table and you walk out. Yes.
Exactly. But this, you're like, okay, cool. But this one I actually would watch like again. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. But Meet Me Next Christmas, good one, Aisha.
And 90s Christmas was solid.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. I
yeah,
really enjoyed that. That
mhm,
was fun.
yeah. So now we wanted to talk about podcast, The Daily. So if you do a holiday podcast, people send you things all the
Mhm.
time, every day. They send you articles, they send you links to things, they send you a lot of things.
Which I love, by the
So,
way. That is not a
oh yeah,
complaint in any way,
no,
shape,
not
or
a
form.
complaint, not a
I mean,
complaint.
I we get text messages about I got free time today. What should I watch? We get those
Hmm. Yeah,
from
yeah.
people. We're like, and that's cool
Hmm.
too. We're
Yep.
open to that, but
We're open
definitely
to that. Yeah. So, but this was something that we wanted to talk about today, because something we both got, which was from the New York Times has a podcast called The Daily. And on Christmas Eve, they did a podcast called How a Skeptical Critic Came to Love Bad Christmas Movies. And it's by Amanda Hess, who's a critic at large for the cultural section of the New York Times. It resonates a lot with this podcast because she's someone who was very sort of cynical about these holiday movies. As many people kind of come to us and talk about their cynicism about them, about these movies, but yet,
right.
but they're drawn to them. And so she had a difficult kind of experience. She was waiting to hear some news and some health news,
Mhm.
and had some time. And the way many of us during these holiday times have like a chunk of time and just kind of need to just like sit on the couch and watch things. And that's what these movies are really great for. And so she really kind of dove in and watched a bunch of these movies. And it's her experience watching the movies, and also I would say her transformation and sort of the way she saw the movies.
Right.
It's interesting because I think this podcast was really popular because it resonated with a lot of people in terms of their perceptions of these like romantic holiday movies.
Mhm.
In terms of, oh, they think they're cheesy, but like why are you so drawn to them if you think they're quote bad? I mean, I have to begin with the whole as a filmmaker, it's always hard for me because I am like, people, that's why this podcast exists, right? The podcast exists for many different reasons, but for me, I'm always like, people really underestimate how hard it is to make these movies. So
Absolutely.
I'm always like, yes, I know, like many of these are not like high art, but it is when you see a good one, a lot of craft and time went into making that good. Now, I think this notion of what is good in quotes in movies is a whole other conversation,
Right
right?
there. Right there.
Which is something that, I mean, subjective, all these things, but also I really have been a believer in terms of like what you're looking for in a movie. But I curious what when people were sending this to you and you listened to it, because we listened to part of it together, what were your
Yeah.
kind of initial reactions?
Gosh, I had so many reactions. One
Hmm.
had nothing to do with what you're saying, but listen, everyone, this is my first podcast, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and I did this because I love this subject. I love doing this. I get to do it with someone who I care about and has the same interests as me. And I know there's so many people out there who this could be how our podcast could be helpful, even if it's just to get away from it all and escape into the podcast as opposed to the movie. I'm happy to be a resource for that every day, any day that I can.
Right.
But with that said, I'm not someone who has delved into the art of podcasting. That isn't what
Hmm.
drove me to do this. And
Hmm.
so, I was distracted by the old school approach to the podcast, that it
Yeah.
distracted
Yeah.
me from what she was saying.
Hmm.
So there is that. That made me giggle a little bit inside. But in terms of what her message was, I find it really, really interesting. I think anyone who is an artist,
Hmm.
right? It's who you are. It's not necessarily what you do. Like you're trying
Right.
to get some sort of creativity out.
Hmm.
And, even if but you're also hopefully trying to make a living. Right. So
Right.
there
Hmm.
are constraints around your art and anything
Yeah.
that you
Totally.
produce that are trying
Hmm.
to make money. So, you know, if you're trying to make these movies, there are massive constraints. In order for anyone to see, for them to produce 200 in a season, right?
Hmm.
It's not like they get this carte blanche in order to do these movies, right? You have to produce them, do the best you can under major, major constraints. And I
Right.
understand that, right? And
Mhm.
so therefore I have a little bit more respect for what they're trying
Mhm.
to do. But the fact of the matter is that it's no big secret. They wouldn't be producing these movies if they weren't popular, if
Yeah.
nobody watched them.
Yeah.
I
This is a
just want to
business.
say that.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
They're
Mhm.
doing it not out of the kindness of their hearts. They're doing
Mhm.
it because it produces results and it produces the ratings. That's why so many more get produced.
Mhm.
And so, but it still is this guilty pleasure that people want to shy away from. Like, oh, I'm a journalist. I can't
Mhm.
possibly appreciate what a a holiday movie. And
Mhm.
the fact of the matter is that the reason why it speaks to so many people, it's because it's the human experience to want to escape and to
Right.
want to find
Right.
something that is predictable, that its purpose, literally its purpose, is to
Mhm.
leave you feeling better than when you started,
Yeah. Yeah.
or to
Mhm.
make you feel, or and to make you feel seen as a human in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And
Right.
and I think that is what they do. Are they always successful? No. Are they always successful about getting you out of whatever life you're in? Yes, because there's no way you're going to relate fully to what's going on
Yeah.
that screen.
No. No. No.
Right? So it is getting you out of your life, and not in a way that's going to damage you, that you're going to have nightmares later. That no
Mhm.
that none of them will do that.
Right.
And I appreciated the journey that she went on, because what
Mhm.
and the podcast came out of because she wrote an article about it first.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that she had such a strong response for people going, "Oh, it was like a, not to diminish the movement, but it was a
Mhm.
Me Too movement for a lot of people being like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I do the same thing. I like, high journalism, and
Mhm.
I watch these movies too."
Right. Right.
And it's not any either or. It never
Mhm.
was. I
Yeah.
mean, I still don't love the fact that they put bad Christmas movies, because I don't think that's fair. They put that in the
Mhm.
title because
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the whole point is that they're not all bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
And bad is also, even if they're not written well and they're not whatever, they're not bad, because the whole
Yeah.
purpose of it is to give you some lighter moments. And if
Mhm.
that's their purpose, then they're actually good. They're not harming you in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I
Um,
think her journey too speaks to the journey of I think a lot of people that I know in
yep.
terms of you know art. There's art in quotes, right? I mean, this is such an interesting for me in terms of my creative journey, in terms of like I make these social issue documentaries, but then I also love these holiday movies and directed a
Yeah.
holiday movie, and a lot of people are always like, how are these two things the same? And I feel like sometimes even when people introduce me, they sort of have to like say she does highbrow and lowbrow, and it's just
Right.
so bizarro to me. Like, I'm
Yep.
always like, this is your baggage. It's not my baggage. Like, I am someone who has a lot of different interests and it's fine. I think that for art, this whole notion of highbrow and lowbrow is like a big problem that we have in art
I
and
agree
culture
with
in
you.
general.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh, I agree.
just the style of podcast that she when I was sort of referencing, there's a style of podcast that she was doing. There's just a podcast kind of person who their voice is a very particular way. It's very sort of like I'm in like a elite intellectual talking about culture. So the daily is that. And listen, bless the daily. I learned a lot of things. The pandemic, the daily held it down. But it was kind of it began in that way, in terms of like, I'm having this intellectual idea about this thing that feels really lowbrow, and I've really got to think about whether or not I can engage in it. And I think we would just make our lives easier if we just stopped with this whole highbrow, lowbrow notion of things in general. It
Thank
would just like
you.
make it all easier. It's just like the holidays, there's certain things in the holidays that are just like fun and you're drawn to and you don't know why. And whatever. It's like I don't think Meet Me Next Christmas is Goodfellas, but I don't think Meet Me Next Christmas has to be Goodfellas.
That was never the goal.
It
That was
was never
never
never the
the
goal.
goal.
This time of year is so like complicated for so many people that it's just kind of that's what I love is just the ability to turn off my brain and at a time when everyone is sort of dialing down too. That's also what I love about these kind of holiday movie time, like particularly this time, like the day after Christmas to New Year's, when everyone's kind of chilling out. And this is a really good time to just kind of watch these kind of movies. But she had to go on that journey, and that's kind of what the
She
the
did.
podcast is about. And I
She
think a
did.
lot of people go on the journey, and that we're glad that people find this podcast. I think our podcast helps people go on that journey too.
I
A
agree.
lot of people
Agreed.
listen to this podcast who don't even really watch these movies that much. So
That's
we're
true. And
grateful for that.
And I wanna say to everyone, including her, it's
Mhm.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay that you like these Christmas movies. You don't even have to explain why.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't owe that to anyone.
No.
Sometimes, sometimes you need that bag of Doritos, right? Do
Mhm.
you read the ingredients? No. Is it gonna you know in your heart you're not gonna love what you read. Don't read the ingredients. It's
Mhm.
okay if
Right.
that is just what you need right now. And
Yeah.
that's normal. You are normal and you're amongst millions and millions and millions of people who also need it, especially during this time. And
Mhm.
that's okay.
And also,
You're
like,
okay.
if you're kind of just like a hopeless romantic and want to watch something every once in a while where everything works out and things aren't that complicated and people find love and that's fine too, you
Again,
know?
it's
That's
okay.
fine. You know?
You're okay.
Yeah, you're fine. You're
It's
fine.
not one of the things to bring up to your therapist. They're really expensive. That's
Yeah.
not one of them.
It's not, it's just whatever brings you comfort this time of year, enjoy
You're
it.
not
So,
hurting anybody. It's
mhm.
okay. It's
Mhm.
okay.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. So this season is over for us,
It's
but
over.
I know. So we were talking about rating the season overall, Aisha.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm,
Okay,
mm,
right.
mm, mm.
Right,
Right.
because the funny thing is, like, in my head now, because I
Mm,
always say, "Hey, I'm gonna recommend everything that's a 7 and above when we're talking about a movie."
right.
Can I apply that to the season, right? Would I
Mm,
recommend the season?
mhm,
Um, because like 2022 was actually a really good year for holiday movies.
it
I would
was.
recommend that season.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, am I rating first? Is that why you're looking at me? Like,
Yeah, I
am I
am.
giving a
Yeah.
number first?
Mhm,
Okay.
you are, yeah.
All right. Okay. I think that I would give this season a 6.5.
Ooh, wow.
And let me tell you why. Because if I give it a
Mhm,
7, that means
mhm,
I'm recommending the season as a whole. And
mhm,
as a whole, I thought this season was lacking. Like, I feel
mm,
like they can do
mhm,
better than this.
mhm.
Lifetime, I know what you can do.
I know. Lifetime did not make enough movies this year. They did
They
not.
did
No.
not make enough movies this year, and the movies
Mhm.
they did make was not up to. If you're going to shorten your season, that
Yeah.
season needs to be hit hard. I mean,
Mhm.
even Netflix with their 4 or 5 movies, they put a lot into that season.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't Lifetime, you were supposed to be like the next great option to
Mhm.
Hallmark, and
Yeah.
this year it wasn't it. BET strong shout out, by the way.
Mhm.
I just want to
BT Plus,
say
yeah. Mhm.
BT Plus put out
Mhm.
really a nice amount of holiday
Mhm.
movies. They
Mhm.
really tried to change it up. I see the effort. I see you. And, I see you for that. Prime, you definitely tried, but you're dipping your
Mhm.
toe.
Yeah.
And I just feel like as a whole, I really felt and saw the pullback from what was being offered in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
where these movies were gonna go,
Mhm.
and so I have hope for next
Mhm.
season,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I definitely wouldn't say as a whole there are some jewels, definitely, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely
Mhm.
some jewels, and we talked about it, this
Yeah.
season, but as
Mhm.
a whole, I wanna give encouragement by
Mm.
giving a
Mhm. Mhm.
6.5.
Mm. So I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay,
And, which is still not, I mean, I wouldn't want a 7 on my report card, but,
fair.
it's a little better. I'm gonna give it a little better for only for the reason that I felt like BET
Yes.
really came through. And I feel like, though I don't, like, love every BET Christmas movie, I feel like they push what they're doing. Like, I like seeing a Christmas movie that has a little sex, that has a little raunch in it, and BET is like doing their own thing, for what they do for Christmas movies. Um, I also, you know, I'm into this notion of the series. Hallmark Plus
Okay. Okay.
explored the series and holidays, which I haven't finished yet, but was like they put some real money into that, and it's making me feel
So true.
hopeful in terms of that genre maybe working out. Because if they did something like that, and even if that's like another space for diverse stories, because there were a lot of diverse stories in that, I
You
was
are
heartened by
so right.
that.
Okay, okay, okay. You're convincing me, Angela. I
Yeah.
may move it up to a 7. I think
Yeah,
I
so
you're
I
right.
was that made me
I
go,
may move
"Okay,
it up
like,
to a 7.
maybe I need to branch out in terms of thinking where you can fit the holiday story in." I also think that, there are gonna be more, I felt like there were some movies that I watched that I could tell were, like, independent films that were acquired, and I was
Yeah.
excited that, like, they're kinda moving into that space. I would say too to filmmakers that, um there is an independent model for making these movies and
Yes.
getting them acquired. So definitely, don't ask me about it because I don't really know what it is exactly, but I know that it happens. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. I mean, I too was disappointed with diversity as I talked about. And I even feel like the kind of big films like that Hallmark one, with the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing, though wasn't like my bag per se, I did feel like it really kind of opens up the genre to, you know, more people. And
Right.
you know, so and like franchising to,
Right.
so I
There was a
think
lot
that
of franchising though.
there was a lot of franchising. So I think that it though I wouldn't say this is the year of like my favorite movies. I feel like the field was trying a lot of different things to keep the holiday movie kind of engine moving. So, we'll see what that plays out for next year.
Yes. I mean, I what I will say to anyone who's listening is just that
Mhm.
please, please, please,
Mhm.
use us because there's a lot out there that you can be missing that's really, really
Mhm.
good as you're trying to
Yep.
sift through the ones that are not as good, and if you have limited time, you kind of really wanna focus on the ones that will give you back what you need. I agree
Right.
with you on the holiday stuff. I do feel like Hallmark hid a lot of their best stuff
Yeah,
on
I agree.
Hallmark
I agree.
Plus,
Mhm.
which made me disappointed because,
Yeah.
more people need access to their better stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and it's
And
hard to recommend it because they can't see it, you know what I
they
mean?
can't find it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's very true because they come out so long
Yep.
that, like, if you really like something in, like, early November, I mean, you're just like, "I hope you can find it, good luck," you know?
Right.
So they gotta really kinda streamline that for sure. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
Well, you know, we wanted to end with some hopes for the year, and, this thank you first of all, thank you so much for listening to us, and, we're just so excited to do this, and we would do it anyway, but I don't know, there was just so much support and goodwill for the
Mhm.
podcast this season, and, it's just we're so lucky to be able to do it, and we love doing it. As we enter 2025, I mean, I'm not going to say that uh this was a challenging year. Maybe this was a challenging year for some, not a challenging year for others. I don't know. I'm ready for 2025 to be filled with new beginnings, to be open for just like change. There's a lot of change coming my way and really the world's way in 2025. And
Facts.
I'm trying to walk into 2025 being open to change, and not assuming that all change is going to be challenging, that some change might be good,
Mhm.
and I mean, that's really kind of where my mind is, and to just take care take care emotionally and physically of myself, and ask people to do the same this year. 2025 is my 50th. I turned 50 in 2025, so that's why I'm also very like aware of it. But But yeah, I mean, just take care of yourself in 2025. That's kind of my hope for the year, like in all the ways, because there's going to be a lot coming at us.
Yeah.
Um,
And take care of each other, please.
yeah, take care of each other. Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna pass it to Aisha to give our final affirmation for the season.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Here we go. So, I'm calling this affirmation reset, reflect, and refresh, because we're not going to be talking to you again until our next season. And so, as you prepare for this new year, we are aware that this safe, cozy place of holiday movies that we are constantly talking about and that we love talking about is coming to an end. And there's a dawn of a new year, but there's also old worries and new uncertainties that we know that it can be really daunting. It's like taking off, that warm blanket and having to get out there. And so we want to send you, while you're going into this unfamiliar space, like a warm hug of strength and resilience. And just remember that this can also be a time to prepare for a better and wiser and stronger version of you. And just know that, look into yourself and remind yourself, you got this. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Until next time.
Till next time. So, and remember, you can check us out on Instagram, the number
Yes.
four, the love of tinsel, Facebook, the number four, the love of tinsel. Check out our website for theloveoftinsel.com and merch. It's never too late to get a For the Love of Tinsel glass, cup. You can find links for the merch on our, where you can find the podcast on our YouTube channel. So definitely, people always ask us ways to support, and that's really a great way to support. So we'd love to thank our amazing producer, Dwayne, for all his hard work, our incredible editor, Chris, just working all the days, working Christmas Eve. Like, we're so grateful for all the hard work. A lot of people have commented on just like what a great job we've done with editing this year. And so we wanted to shout that out. Kara Morehouse of Little Blue Windmill for our logo, and our amazing intern, Adia. So with that, we wish you a wonderful new year, and until next season.
Till next season. Bye, everybody.